Okay, welcome to episode number 9 of my Kazuha Fanart drawing series. Let's just get to move on with it, yeah? Me and my siblings has played Tetris 2 before on the SNES. It's the one before Tetris 3, right? It's not as good as Tetris 3 is by yards out, but it's still quite good. So it's like Tetris 2 is like 7 out of 10, whereas Tetris 3 is like 9 out of 10. And it's where in Tetris 2 there was this one exclusive game mode called bombliss, and it's where it's quite well thought out because it's like you have to detonate like the red squares, and obviously the more lines you do, the bigger the explosions, right? Sounds good, but there is one big problem with bombliss mode. Right, there's like these 5 square pieces, and there's a lot of them, by the way, and they are very hard to make lines out of. And I remember seeing these at like stage 10 or something. I was like going, how am I supposed to fit these? And I just kept making lots of gaps and kept going wrong because of the 5 square pieces. And so also my siblings hate the 5 square pieces as well. Like these ones here. Yeah, it's like, how are you supposed to make lines out of those? And there's like so many different ones that just comes at you, like one after the next. And it's just like, you know. And it's like, ugh. And because of those 5 square pieces, we kept getting game over a bunch of times, aka you build to the top and then you lose sort of thing. At least in Tetris games, there's no death involved. That's the thing I've noticed. It's like playing a card game. And it's where obviously nobody dies because it's a card game. So obviously when you play like an RPG, the enemies are gonna die, aren't they? Or get KO'd, etc. But in Tetris games, it's where you don't actually die. So, you know. But yeah, Tetris 2, it's not as good as Tetris 3 is, but you could see that there's a lot of inspiration taken from that into Tetris 3. Sparkless mode is definitely better than bombliss mode by far, and I am so happy that in Tetris 3 there were no 5 square pieces in that game in any way. I was thinking, good. You do come across 2 square pieces and 3 square pieces, but that's it. There's no 5 square pieces at all in Tetris 3 at all. So I was so thankful that they had removed it, because they were just not very they were not a very good gimmick, we'll just say. Oh, and one other problem with Tetris 2 is that, you know that at the beginning, it has like some sort of logo at the beginning showing who made the game and that sort of thing? Kind of like the Capcom logo, it goes, that sort of thing, right? It's where the problem with BPS that made Tetris 2 and Tetris 3 is that in Tetris 2, you have a very loud sound effect, and it plays like this. And I remember loading it for the first time, and it's so loud. And the most annoying thing is that whenever we boot it up again, aka the switch the power on, we forget how loud the sound effects are in the game, and that just goes off, and it's just like we have to instantly put the volume down because we don't want to, like, you know, wake people up and stuff. It's just like, you know, that was one of the other problems with Tetris 2. The music and the sound effects are a bit too loud. I was like, you know. Oh yeah, some time ago I made this playlist called How to Draw Above Viewpoint Anime Series, right? And it's where I said at the end of episode number 17, which is the last one, I might not actually make any more art related tutorials because they don't get a lot of views and likes, etc. But it's where, believe it or not, on like 1 or 2 of those videos that I made, it got so many likes on one of them. And it's where I can post a screenshot of it right here, and it's where I got so many views and likes and such. So I thought, oh wow, a lot of people actually like that episode. They really like me drawing up like a cartoon character's head, especially that. So I thought, oh okay, then that's actually very good news. So because I usually don't get like more than 100 views whenever I make any new videos. So I just thought, oh okay then, what I'll do, right, this is not a promise, right, but hopefully I'll get around to this after I finish off the Kazuha drawing fan art series that I'm doing right now. I might go and try and do another one, but not of Genshin Impact or anything like that. It'll be one of my own characters again, kind of like the above viewpoint thing. So what I'll do is I'll go finish this up. It won't take that many episodes. I think I can do it in another 2 more episodes, right? And it's where after that, at some point, I'll try and do another one, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be people that's going to be like, oh, make more sort of thing. Because if I'm getting so many likes, views, etc., even on like 1 or 2 episodes, that proves that I really should make some more, don't you think? So yeah, I will actually make another one. It's not a promise, like I said, but that does actually motivate me to want to do more now. So you can totally ignore what I said back in episode 17 on the above viewpoint thing. By the way, I'll put a card on the top right corner just in case you want to see it. But yeah, I'll put it at the end of the video as well. So yeah, just in case you want to know any more viewpoint anime drawings that I've done in the past. Oh yeah, I've not tuned into Blender 3D for years. There were quite a few problems with me using Blender 3D. My experience with it has been both very good and very bad, we'll just say. Now, I did make a comment on this on reddit.com, so I'll just read it word for word for what I've actually said on there. I've used Blender version 2.7 about 5 years ago, and I did make a few videos on Blender back in 2017 and 2018. I've not tuned into Blender for 5 years, but I will do so in the future, since my viewers keep asking me to go back to Blender. Blender is great in the sense that it's free. Now, I've checked how much Autodesk Maya is on their official store, and it's £246 a month. And I was like thinking, yeah, that's like nearly half as much as rent in the UK. It's like, excuse me, why they're charging like a little bit more than paying for a car on finance? And that's without taking into account of petrol and, you know, insurance and that sort of thing. So I just thought, well, good job. I only ever used the trial version of Maya, which is like 1 month long, free, and that's it. Because I'm not a millionaire, and my family would get so angry if I bought Autodesk Maya for thousands of pounds each year. It's just like, no, it's definitely not happening. So yeah, I stuck with Blender. But I will say, Blender version 2.7 was extremely frustrating to use for the rigging part, because they kept breaking. So I had to make a new skeleton rig called Rigify, and I followed a bunch of tutorials from this guy called Dan Pro. He's really good. I've not tuned into his channel for a while actually. And then guess what? The Blender Foundation, you know, the company, they made Blender 2.8, and it's where Rigify is not transferable on the new versions of Blender. So I lost 8 hours of progress since I had to weight paint the bones as well, so that characters with cloth can actually move properly, so you don't have people's arms going through their own clothes and that sort of thing. So, you know. So that's why back in 2018 I went back to 2D Flash, and that's why I've been making content like this that you're seeing right now. I've not used the newest version of Blender, so I will have to see if my new skeleton rigs I make in the future are even reliable, aka they don't break by updating from like 3.3 to 3.4 and then 3.4 to 3.5, and it's like, oh, and then you lose 8 hours of progress with making skeleton rigs. that only works on one version of Blender, apparently. It's like, that's the frustrating thing. And it's like, I hate it when things update and it gets rid of something that I actually like using, or anyone else uses. But I will say that Blender, since it's free, there's quite a few YouTubers I've tuned into who actually uses Blender. There's a really cool guy called Arwen Link, right? He uses Blender and he makes realistic looking Kakariko Village, realistic looking Lake Hylia, and realistic other places as well. And that's using Blender. I'm very sure Arwen Link, he uses other 3D software, but don't worry, I'm not name dropping him in a mean way. I actually like this guy. I like him a lot. He's actually talked to me quite a few times. But yeah, Arwen Link, cool guy. Definitely check him out. I came across one other major problem with Blender, and it's the forums. Now, I'm not trying to say every single person on the Blender Foundation forums is bad, but there were quite a few instances where I said, oh, I've got a problem with this character's arm, can anyone fix it? And then it's where they say, okay, send us just the arm parts, not the whole character, but just the arm parts to us, and we'll actually see what we'll do to try and fix it. So I thought, okay then. So I went and sent them just the arm parts, so no legs, no head, no weapons, that sort of thing, right? And it's where they came back to me the next day and sent me a back saying, oh, I fixed it, here you go, this is what you do. And then when I checked, it wasn't even fixed at all. It's just all twisted up if you turn the hand a little bit, and that's it. So and it's where there was another post I made saying, oh, Blender's so frustrating to use, and someone was like dying at me so much, like, oh, how dare you bash on Blender, ooh, stop blaming it, it's you that's the problem. It's like, what, so you're not allowed to criticize something that's free? In fact, it was a similar thing on Reddit where there were these people that were like saying, oh, I don't like Genshin Impact because this. And they were saying, oh, how dare you say that about Genshin Impact? Oh, it's a free game. Oh, deal with it. It's like, not everyone's gonna like one game. There's people out there who actually hate Final Fantasy VII, believe it or not, and they think it's really overrated. And that's just one example. And believe it or not, there's actually people out there who think Mario and Sonic, both these characters, are overrated. That's what they've been saying anyway. I can't even remember what this guy who defends Blender 3D's name is, because it's been over 4 or 5 years anyway. And it's like, so you're not allowed to criticize something even if it's free. Apparently it's perfect, and there's never ever a problem when you've got skeleton rigs that's not even working, and when there's a new version of Blender, it's like parts of my work is not transferable onto it and things like that. It's just like, you know. And also this one guy on the forums was saying, oh, why don't you use Blender CG Cookie? Oh, it'll help you loads. And it's just like, when I went to the website, they charge you like £20 a month. It's like, yeah, go suggest me something that I have to pay for. Makes sense, doesn't it? Now, obviously, £20 a month is nowhere near as much as that other price, £246. but it's just like, why can't someone just help me for free with Blender? It's just like, come on, it's just like, the community is not that great. It's like, they just lie saying, oh, I fixed it for you, and it's not even been fixed. And then if you even say, oh, I don't like Blender, here's why, they just bash at you. And it's just like, ooh, so oh, shut up. So yeah, that's why I went back to 2D Flash, because Blender is pretty frustrating to use, and the community is not even helpful, so that's why I went back to 2D. It's just so much easier and faster, and I actually know what I'm doing 99% of the time anyway. So that's why I've been making Flash-related videos and art tutorials in Flash. Now, people would be telling me, oh, why don't you just use other 2D arts programs? And it's because I've already paid for Flash, so I may as well use it. And Microsoft Paint is free, which is good, but I can only make like the most rough drawings ever in that. So that's why I'd rather just use something that I've already paid for, you know? And it's like, I'd rather pay for something like £100 or something towards something that actually helps me a lot, rather than use something that's free that's like really frustrating. But you know, I will say that I managed to make this sword here, and it didn't actually take me long. I actually only took like 60 minutes to make that. Well, 1 to 2 hours at best. The reason why I'm saying 1 to 2 hours is because I had to learn a little bit of how to actually color objects in 3D and things like that. So without the learning process and just doing it right away with the knowledge in mind, it did take 1 hour, but it still took me an hour to learn how to do advanced coloring, that sort of thing. So yeah, so there's that, and there was this lamppost I made. It's supposed to be a Japanese looking one. I'll put one right here, right? That one didn't actually take me long. That only took me about 2 to 3 hours, and that's with the learning as well. So in other words, I looked up tutorials how to actually move, like how to use the controls like extrude and move this here, how to make vector points, how to watch out for poly count, that sort of thing. So you know, so I know that static objects don't need skeleton rigs, but that is the biggest reason why Blender was even easy at all, right? But when it comes to characters and skeleton rigs, yeah, that gets a million times harder. So for some reason, it's a million times harder for me to make skeleton rigs than it is to just model static objects like a lamppost or a sword or something like that. So like static objects. Now, if I ever do come back to Blender, I'm definitely going to make a static bamboo tree, because I've been wanting to do that, and it wouldn't take me that long to do. It's just that I'm doing 2D at the moment, so, you know. So, yeah. So, I will say that Blender is excellent when it comes to making static objects. It doesn't take very long. It's just when it comes to skeleton rigs, that really messes my mind. It's like, what to say? And the funniest thing about making these static objects is that I didn't have to go on any forums to ask for help how to get this to work. 'Cause I think I made those before I actually made any characters, so I think that was why. Because when I first started in 2016 or 2017, it was one of those 2 years, it's where I just looked up a few simple tutorials like, oh, how to do this, how to do that, here's the controls sort of thing. One of the things you'll definitely need to do in Blender, if you ever are going to use it, which is quite hard to use, especially if you're making up a character, is definitely keep the cheat sheet. So in other words, keep all the controls in a Microsoft Word document saying, oh, if you want this shortcut, press this. Like, this is the shortcut, like M for map or something. Control E for extrude, and control this for this, and that sort of thing. There's a lot of shortcuts in Blender. I did say that before in a very old video. And also, as far as I can remember, I think you press G to press grab for that cube. That's the default object when you start Blender. So, you know. I've got a lot of learning to do, because I've been told that the newest version of Blender compared to 2.7, yeah, there's a lot of learning involved, because the change of controls, like a lot of it. But people have said it's a lot better than 2.7 is. So basically, I'm probably going to have to spend like 30-40 hours trying to learn the damn thing all over again. Anyway, I think I'll just end off the video here, because it's gone more than 10 minutes long now. So yeah, I'll leave it here. Thank you for watching the video. If you want to actually show your support, you may tick like, share, or subscribe to my channel. You can even do all three of them if you want to. So yeah, and with that, I'll end off the video. So thanks you for watching.